Greetings, I am Louise Dubé, the Executive Director of iCivics. Our next guest is the 23rd Governor of the state of Arizona, Governor Doug Ducey. He was first elected in 2014 and then again in 2018 with more votes than anyone in the state's history. He's a former successful businessman and CEO of Cold Stone Creamery, which is really delicious, and serves as the chair of the Republican Governors Association. Governor Ducey hails from a state that's very close to our hearts at iCivics because it is the home state of Sandra Day O'Connor, our founder. She was, of course, a Reagan appointee and devoted her entire post-bench career to ensuring that all Americans understand how important civic education is to the future of our nation. Governor Ducey himself made civic education a priority and signed into law the Sandra Day O'Connor Civic Celebration Act in 2020. So thank you, Governor, for your leadership to ensure that all students have access to civic knowledge, civic skill, and civic dispositions to participate in self-government. But the governor didn't limit his influence on only civic education, had a much broader education agenda and increased spending, foreign per pupil spending in K-12 to $11 billion. The governor has 3 sons, been married to his wife Angela for 31 years. Congratulations. And they reside in Paradise Valley. Welcome, Governor Ducey.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking very much forward to visiting today.
Let's first get started by talking about accountability because families really want to know how their schools are performing. So in Arizona, your state is opting for transparency through Education Matters Arizona. The state is using widely accepted education indicators to measure progress. Can you describe the process of selecting those indicators, how they're being measured, and how this initiative will boost quality of life and civic participation for young learners in Arizona?
Well, in Arizona, we think accountability is important. We want to make sure that our current kids are learning something of value over the course of 12 years inside a classroom. We think topics like math, reading, and science are important along with American civics and history. And we do want to work with credible organizations that can communicate with parents so that they can make the decision that's in the best interest of their child. We're also a big believer in school choice. We think that educational freedom is the ultimate accountability, that a parent has that power to decide what's best for their child and hold the school accountable for what's happening inside the classroom.
Thank you so much. You've also pressed for accessibility to career and technical education. And so in April of this year, you signed legislation allowing Arizona career and technical education districts to start offering associate's degree programs. What sort of benefits do these new degree offerings offer to Arizona students?
We've really looked at education as all of the above opportunities. College is, of course, wonderful, and we're very proud of Arizona State University, U of A, and Northern Arizona University, but we know that that's not necessarily the career path for everyone. In addition, some 60% plus of available jobs come through our CTE or career and technical education. When I was in high school, we called this SHOP, but today it's much more highly professional and highly skilled, and the jobs are much higher paying. So we wanted to have that pathway available, and we also didn't want to create different tiers of education. We want to support the child or the young adult in what they are passionate about. They can turn it into a purpose, and then of course a paycheck.
And what's the difference between an associate's degree at a career technical district versus a community college? What's the benefit to a student?
It's whatever is most convenient and affordable for the student. It's just another choice that's available. Arizona has led the country in educational choice, and we think that this is another component of that. I think that began with charter schools in 1994. Today, we've got nearly 25% of our kids in public schools, in a school of choice, over 525 schools. This is another avenue for a young individual to pursue.
So in a similar spirit, you're trying to expand access to higher education. Last year, you signed Arizona Senate Bill 1453 that allowed community colleges to offer bachelor's degrees program. Why these new degree offerings, and how is that expanding access and affordability?
Well, again, we've got great community colleges in Arizona. We've got the largest community college system in the country, and four-year universities are going to be the right place for many students. But for others, especially in outlying counties and rural Arizona, the community college route for 4 years, degree completion and the beginning of a career. We're not somebody who thinks that everybody needs to move into the capital city and pursue the white collar career of Phoenix or Tucson. We've got 15 counties in our state, and people in rural Arizona love that life and see the different opportunities that are there, and oftentimes need an education to pursue it. The 2-year community college with some of the 4-year options help fill that gap.
Wonderful. And if students responded to this, what's the public support for this option?
This is actually driven by student request, by request from the marketplace. So yes, we're off to a good start with it. The law was just passed last year, but this was an innovation that really came from request and demands for opportunities that allowed people to get that last 2 years of education with options that were different to relocating to one of the universities or to do it over a screen, which many people prefer to be inside the classroom, and we prefer it as well.
Great. Yeah, very interesting. So many families are feeling the pain of the cost of higher education, no matter what format it's in. Are there any other things that you think your state should be doing to make higher education more affordable for families?
Well, I think there's a lot of different vehicles available for people that want to go to college to get to college. And we go out of our way to make certain that kids don't take on unnecessary debt. I think part of it is on the university presidents to make certain that they hold their tuition at the lowest level possible and just not use the excuse of raising tuition, and every time there's rising cost. We've seen innovations in our state and around the country where there's been leadership from university presidents, but there's also many scholarships available, including the Hope Scholarship at the state level that provides accessibility for low-income children. With a financially responsible state that has a surplus, we're in a position where we can help more young people that want to pursue a 4-year university education do that. And I believe we will continue to do that.
Wonderful. Let's talk just a little bit more about affordability. Your state has established the Arizona Teachers Academy, and that's, if I understand it correctly, a program that allows Arizona students to graduate debt-free from school if they agree to teach in Arizona, in state. So how has that changed the dynamics of the quality of qualified candidates to teach in the classroom since it's been in place?
We need more young people pursuing education as a career. When I came out of university, a lot of people saw teaching at the grade school level as a calling, not so much as of late. So what we wanted to do is to make sure people that are attracted to that could have a lower cost of education, graduate debt-free, and have a job waiting for them upon receiving their degree. So we stood up the Arizona Teachers Academy in Arizona. Any young person at any one of our existing universities who goes that path will receive those benefits. We've had thousands of young people pursue that course. You could have any one of 48 other governors sitting here. We're all experiencing a teacher shortage. We think the Teachers Academy, along with a dramatic pay increase for our existing teachers, along with putting principals and superintendents in charge of hiring, so anyone with subject matter expertise can get to the front of a classroom and impact young people inside that classroom, have been 3 unique policy initiatives to address the teacher shortage.
Wonderful, thank you. So proper funding is really important to expand educational opportunities, obviously, and that's sort of what you've been talking about. And in March 26, 2018, you signed a bipartisan legislation which extended Proposition 301 funding for another 20 years. And for those who are not familiar with Proposition 301, it's a voter approved initiative that passed in 2000 that provides millions of dollars for an increase in the sales tax as funding for K-12 and higher education. Was set to expire, I believe, in 2021. So with what benefits were realized to Arizona community colleges, tribal colleges, and university as a result of your action to reauthorize Proposition 301?
I come from the private sector and my background is in business. I can't think of any business that measures its success by how much money it spends. But in every discussion around education, somehow it finds its way to how much are you investing? And I want to be straight up that I know that the investment and budget is important. Arizona did extend Proposition 301. This is $667 million on an annual basis into K-12. We passed Proposition 123, which is $3.5 billion additional dollars. We got a 20% pay increase to our teachers and have increased educational funding since 2015 by $11.4 billion. No other state in the nation has made those investments, but I don't think we should be bragging on the amount of money we're spending. I think we should be measuring our scores in math, reading, science, American civics, and history, along with character formation, and showing a return on that investment. So Arizona did have some catching up to do. We've done that, and now we want to see the improvement in our kids' education and the career opportunities that are presented to them upon completion.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I know you've done a lot in civics and so many different initiatives that you've done in civics. Do you want to spend just a couple minutes on that, or?
Yes, I think it's so important, especially at this really divided and polarized time in our country. The first law that I passed upon being elected was the American Civics Act. And what that is just having an Arizona high school student pass the same test that a newly naturalized American has to pass. It's 100 questions. You can go check it out online at the first break. We were the first state in the nation to do that. Now dozens of other states have followed, but I think everyone should do this. It's a nonpartisan issue, and it gives us a solid foundation in which to have these debates and discussions from, is understanding our founding documents and those that have preceded us, as well as standing on the shoulders of what we've already accomplished. On the top of the American Civics Act, we passed the Sandra Day O'Connor Civics Celebration Day. It's a day dedicated in every school to civics in every class. We also have the Regents Cup, which is a civics competition at our universities. I think it's fine that we debate and we discuss and we talk all the tough issues of the day, but we ought to talk it from an understanding on how you can get into the arena and actually affect change. And I think the Civics Act is the first way to do it. And I challenge and welcome every other governor in the country to meet and improve on what we've been able to achieve in Arizona.
Yeah, our founder, Sandra Day O'Connor, was a state legislator in Arizona, and said to me the first time, the most important thing is that students get involved, understand and get involved in the process. So thank you for that.
We're very proud of Sandra Day O'Connor. We're also proud that it was Ronald Reagan that appointed her to the Supreme Court. And she actually had service in the state of Arizona before she was on the judiciary. She was the first female minority leader inside the Senate. So she certainly understood the process from both the judicial branch and the legislative branch. And we've incorporated Sandra Day O'Connor into much of what we've talked about in the State of the State speech, because we think that type of opportunity should be available to all of our children. And she's the most honorable of Arizonans to advocate for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody who understood and was inside of the system. I think a lot of times people who know the system will advocate more for it, because people have to understand how to get the legislature and the political process to work. So with that, I'm going to ask you one question. Let's talk a little bit about you. You are about to leave office, and you've led in education issues. You made that an important priority for your administration. Tell us, how do you think about the education agenda for any governor? I mean, you're the chair of the Republican Governors Association. What would you tell a governor who wants to make education a priority?
Well, first, I want to say I have a little time left in office. I'm here for 179 more days. We want to make the most of every
Not
moment.
counting.
But I do think that education is the most important issue at the state level. If you look at any state budget over all 50 states, the number one investment line, number one spending line is K-12 education, and it does happen at the state level. I believe that Arizona is the gold standard in educational freedom. It's why you see our kids improving faster than other kids across the country in subjects like math and reading. It's those choices that are available to the parent. We just passed the ESA law, the Educational Savings Account. It gives every parent in our state an ability to access their taxpayer dollars up to $7,000 to pursue the education that is best for their children. We're in the business of public education, and we believe parents having access to their dollars will make for a greater educated public. So I would encourage other governors to grab the law that we signed, the Educational Savings Account law. They can scratch out the name Arizona. They can put their state in and get it through both chambers and have a wonderful signing ceremony. It will do much to reform K-12 education. We very rarely in America ever solve a problem. What we traditionally do is innovate out of that problem, and we think ESAs are the path forward.
Thank you so much, Governor.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for the work you do.